Hold on, let me switch my camera over. Okay. It says your audio is still recording or it's still connecting. All right, there we go. Work.
Amazing. All right, now I can hear.
Sweet.
All right, so yeah, before it cut off, I was gonna say like that's kind of amazing. Your thesis was about solar panels, and
Yeah.
you got a job with like a solar panel company.
Hey,
Was it that romantic? Did they like find you, or did you like reach out to them? You're like, yo, check out my thesis.
it was not romantic at all. So to answer, well, okay, I'll say romantic as in, whoo, I checked off, finally I have a job, going into the summer because that was a huge concern for me graduating, right? So,
Yeah.
but long story short, it's funny how it all worked out, right? I always told myself I wanted to have an industry job, when I graduated. Definitely something up my alleyway that I felt that spoke to me as far as interest and stuff. So long story short, bro, during this past semester, bro, it was crazy. I was doing like at least 3 to 4 applications a day at one point,
Oh yeah, I
just
know
to
that
random
life.
places, right? You know how it is, to design firms. um I even applied to the Ion, which is a cool building that actually opened up in Houston over the
Oh.
pandemic. So but I applied to a ton of places, and this one called me back, and they were like, hey, do you want to earn money from home? I said, yeah, sounds great, bro, sign me up. What am I'm ready for the interview, let's go. And then it's solar, and then which happened to work out. So the whole thing was heaven sent. It was a godsend for sure. Yeah,
What
man,
about
what do you do though?
oh so I
Oh,
do
yeah.
furniture design. It's kind of
For
like
who?
for a guy, really. He's
Okay.
so so
Okay.
it was so over the pandemic, I was like applying to a lot of different places just like you were. And one of the
Yeah.
places that I applied to was this like Swedish design firm, and they
Mhm.
ended up calling me back, and I was like, "What the fuck?" I was like, "Me? Like, I don't, I'm who? How many people
Yeah,
applied,
man.
and why are you talking to me?" You know? And then they were just like, "Yeah, we like yourself, blah blah blah. Let's have an interview." We had the interview; it was perfect. We did another interview with a guy who, basically one of the founders of the company, because it's like a really small like design firm, design studio, and they were like, "All right, so how are we gonna get you over here?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And they were like, "So one of the sticky things about like I don't know Sweden, America, like over there, the schools pay for internships and all
Yeah.
of that stuff, and they were wondering if my school would do the same, U of H. And I went to school. I was like, can you guys pay for me? And they're like, fuck no. They're like, no. Why would we pay for you to have an internship? And
Yeah.
I was kind of bummed. I told them. We ended up not being able to do the internship, and but we kept in contact, and basically through them they got me in touch with a guy who was looking for black designers, and it's like a startup kind of firm, and right now we're just working on a furniture set. It's just me and the guy, and one other person as well, and yeah, it's really cool. I'm like really like in the seat. Like it's just
Yeah.
me and the dude, and it's like, what do you think? He's like, yeah, it's cool. And I'm like, cool. And
So are you
hopefully,
guys? Is it like a? I'm
oh, hold
sorry.
on, you broke up a little bit. What'd you say?
I
Was it?
ruined your thought right there.
No,
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 you keep
no.
going. You keep going.
It's all free flow,
I
you
was
know.
gonna ask. Okay. I was gonna ask. So is it like a shop that you're working at, and y'all are just pumping out furniture and selling it the next day, or what? How's that go? Or y'all designing for other people?
So it's completely new. Like we're developing the first line of product, and he's
Mm-hmm.
based in Hawaii right now. So we don't have like a physical studio space yet. So I basically just sketch, draw, and try and like get manufacturing logistics kind of down all from my house, and we just go back and forth every day. And yeah, so all the prototyping right now is done through the manufacturers that we're working with. So it's not hands-on yet, but he does plan to move the company to Houston. I think a year or two from now. I think 2 years. So I might be moving back to Houston.
Good news. I might be moving back to Houston too. Now that you bring it up.
Where do you stay at right now?
So right now I'm living in San Antonio right now. I'm
Oh,
still in
San Antonio.
Texas.
You're not too far.
You know, not too far, not too far from home base. But so I'm actually part of a startup right now, and they're based
shit.
in Houston as well. So as soon as I'm done working here,
what's the startup?
It's called Spark Spaces. Spark Spaces, level 2 charging for electric vehicles and small businesses as well. Right now, we're trying to get into hotels and things like that. But right now, I've been doing the SolidWorks and keyshot modeling, switching over to Blender because the school licenses expire soon.
Ooh, I feel that.
You know how that goes. So
yeah, I got ripped off of
yes,
keyshot, and I'm like suffering now. But Blender is an amazing thing to learn.
What do you use the most, and what do you prefer?
So I use SolidWorks still. Like my thing runs out in like a week, so I'm gonna have to figure something out. And then Keyshot, I don't even use Keyshot anymore, because the license ran out. I'm thinking about paying for it, but I don't know if I love it that much. But I'm also trying to learn Blender, because Blender you can literally do anything you can think of in there.
Yes.
Which is fucking crazy.
Yes, you can. That's right. Yep.
So, with that being said, with the startup and all that stuff, like, I never really got to like talk to you, like for a long period of time, in school. What do you like want to do? Like, if you were on God mode and you could move the chess pieces. Like what would you where would you put yourself?
Got you. That's a good question. So to start right now, I think I'm kind of on my way as far as like progress. Last summer, I was blessed and fortunate enough to start my own design LLC. So, and the year before that, I started my YouTube channel. For those who don't know, Faith Fun Future. Yes, I have a YouTube channel. Yeah. Faith Fun Future. That's where it's all things product design and lifestyle. It's more of lifestyle tech. That's an awesome way for me to connect with people and for them to follow my progress and for me to just connect with, the community and just anyone in general. So I did check that off my bucket list. I started my design LLC, and right now I have a few projects, whether it's with, the electric vehicle chargers, and then hopefully, right now I'm on a project right now that's pretty cool. But right now we're working on providing small businesses and startups with Series A funding and not only with Series A funding, but as well as affiliate marketing. The project is called COSIS. I'll be posting about that on my channels and so forth. But, right now we're trying to set that up because, my big passion is ultimately creating products and services to help others. And so, yeah, that's my big slogan, is serving others with positivity and creativity. So that's kind of Addison on Earth right now. Long term, to answer your question, long term, what I'd like to do is, definitely continue to move up as far as my influence and within education and bridging the gaps, making education more equitable, whether it's design education, whether it's more, rudimentary levels of education like elementary, middle school, but definitely providing more equitable means for people to become educated. That's definitely, on the horizon, and ultimately, integrating Web3 and technology further into, business and ultimately people's lifestyles, especially nowadays with, different systemic things going on in the world, such as inflation, such as, educational costs and so forth, living costs, lifestyle expenses. So
Okay. So
We'll
so
see
I'm
what that
gonna
looks like. I don't know if that manifests. Go
I'm
ahead.
gonna
Go ahead.
ask a very like obvious question, probably for you, but I am kind of
Mm-hmm.
curious.
Mm-hmm.
Why
Yeah.
why do you why is it a passion of yours, like a long term goal for you to want to make education more equitable?
Yeah. As on top of helping people, which I find to just be so enjoying and fulfilling. Because that's what I feel like we've been put on this earth to do, is to serve others with what we're good at. But along with helping other people do that, my biggest passion, of course, is finding ways to, I don't know, I guess just revise the system. I feel like right now, you know, it's like people work to die. We go to someone else's school. I'm going to someone else's school, learning material. So you add on all these years of knowledge. That's why education between K through 12, you know, it's not like they're pertaining to your strengths, so to speak. You're more of a knowledge generalist. I'm good at reading, I'm good at writing, I'm good at history. I can compute this, I can type 40 words a minute. I don't know, right? The things that they grade you in school for. But when you get out, it's like, oh, they don't teach you about finances. They don't teach you about financial literacy. They don't teach you about taxes and how things work. They don't teach you, college. You get to college, okay, I'm learning my craft. How can I, and in this stage, I'm focusing on my craft. I'm focusing, I'm going to every lecture. I'm reading every material that my professor sends me. But how do I get a job from that? How do I take my strengths and what I've learned, since I've been going to school since age 5, and how do I scale that? So long story short, to answer your question, my main motivation is one day providing, that incubation at a younger age for people. And we were blessed, to go to a Division I university, that caters to those needs. But still, like you said, when you wanted to do an internship, school wasn't willing to pay for it, right? And that money doesn't come from thin air, right? And that's a hurdle that a lot of people face who aren't as fortunate as you or I may be. So that's kind of my passion, is to kind of help people with whether it's scholarships or whether it's job assistance or training, stuff like that. I feel like a lot of things are design issues, but beyond, can you model this car, or can you model this chair, so forth. So that's kind of my passion. So without getting too deep, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. So
No, no. I mean, that was well said. Like, education is kind of flawed. Like, I had a lot of gripes with U of H in a related kind of
yeah.
way. I mean, I'm probably gonna go into that. Yeah, and then I'll get on to a point that's kind of relating to some of the stuff that you were saying. But yeah, like it doesn't. Well, actually, yeah, I'll just kind of go over it in general. Like, it just doesn't feel like school, or at least my experience at U of H, was preparing me to be a guy who knew what he needed to do as like an individual, on an individual level. You get out of school, and then you're running to all these places begging for a job. But like, I noticed in Wells's class that I took my last semester, it was like a portfolio preparation class. He really threw some questions at us all that made us realize that like we didn't even know like who we were as designers after like 4 years. It was like we were being fit into a mold that was like extremely general, which is like it's not the best thing if you're going into like the job market, because like, yeah, industrial design is specific, but it's not like it goes way deeper than just, oh, industrial design. It's like, industrial design for what? It's like, what are you designing? Who are you trying to look for? And like, what skills do you have that cater directly to that end goal? And I don't know. It feels like whenever you get to such a far point in your career as a student, that should be like the first thing that you step into when you go into university. They look at you and they say, especially as a designer, it's like, where do you see yourself, you know? And I don't know is a good ass answer, you know? But for that to be a question early on instead of like, you know, you're done school and you're like, oh, what the fuck, you know? And all, with all that being said, I just feel like no one's really, not many. Okay, there we go. Yeah, this thing loves cutting in and out. That might happen like 4 more times.
All right, hold on. It's all good. Hold on 1 second.
Cool.
Get my camera back on.
Yeah, all good.
All right.
What's the last
Cool.
thing you heard?
You were talking about
Actually, I'll boil it down real quick, just to say that it feels like there's more of a care to create people who just want a job, you know, instead of people who have long-term goals, like goals, you know?
yes.
People who want to be the people who tell people what to do and how to do it and stuff like that, you know? A lot of that gives people a lot of meaning, but there's like, no one really gives a fuck about that, you know?
Right. Yeah. It's like, you know, they teach you how to be a worker, right? But they don't teach you how to create jobs. They don't teach you how to, you know, think, because it requires, that's that higher level thinking, right? That, you know, that management thinking, that, okay, how can I scale my idea into an operation, or how can I make money off of my idea? They just teach you how to be a cog in the wheel. You know, that might work, but you know, if we think about it from financial level, where's your wage going to be? Is it going to be at that level, or you need to scale with the times, right? You need to scale your wealth. You need to scale what you're doing. You need to scale your influence. At least that's where my mind goes. That's what I think, you know. And it's not about, you know, oh, you know, I'm not saying be, you know, the Bill Gates of design, but like you said, right? You know, how to lead others, that design leadership and those principles. At least you're not going to get that at the undergrad level. So at least I didn't. So,
yeah, I mean, and they kind of just leave everyone, or leave some people to the sharks, you know, because some people just don't know how to do that, or they don't have the right off the bat, like, you know, goals that match that same idea, you know. But I feel like it can be taught to become familiar, you know, to people. But I don't know. That's my whole thing about education. I feel like that shit's so important, but people treat it like it's just like, it's like, oh, let's crank them out. Let's crank them out. You know, it's like, no, no. These are individuals that are like that. You know, work is like extremely important. That's how people get their meaning. Like throughout all time. Like when you're learning to work, it needs to be like tied to your soul. You know, it's like, why are you here, man? It's like, because you're gonna be doing this shit for forever. You know.
Yes. So what's next for you?
What do you mean, what's next?
Like, what's like a project besides this, or what is this, or what's been something you've been working on recently that you'd like to share with
others? This is a practice that I've been trying to navigate, really. Like,
okay.
I recently have become really interested in how important all the boring shit is, you know, in life.
Yes.
Because having like a full-time job, and I don't know, being pretty, like, I don't know, being stable. This is like the first time in my life I've been like stable in all senses of that word, you know. And I I was like really bored, and then I got scared of that, you know, because I was bored and I'm here and easily like first 2 months I was here, I was like running around like trying to shake off that boredom, you know, and then like that got old and it got tiring, so then I was just like just going to work, come back home, go to work, come back home, and I work from home, so that's even more boring, you know, and and then I realized like this is the rest of my life. It's like I need to build a healthier relationship to the really subtle things that no one cares to praise or to give attention, and that's the stuff of like routines. That's the boring shit that like no one wants to post about online because it's not exciting. It doesn't really give any instant value, you know. But all of that routine stuff, all of the mundane, the boring stuff, is the stuff that is the breeding ground of the things that are extraordinary, you know. So it's like and there's also a weird relationship in all of that has to do with like the internet persona and like marketing, which is it's all a good tool, you know, but I feel like there's a lot of misuse of that where people don't really understand their meaning or where they stand, or you know, like this is basically a project of just like talking to people that I follow and that follow me, because like what I was thinking about Instagram, and I was like, aside from using it as a tool of marketing, like I also want to use it to keep in touch with people that I wouldn't necessarily be calling like every week, you know. But I don't even use that shit like that, you know. Aside from the
Yep.
random occasional like, you know, there's not really much exchange going on. So this is just like the exchange, you know. It's a good means of just like catching up and knowing who I follow and knowing who follows me, because it's like a small community, and there should be that like that meaningful exchange, you know, with that online relationship. I don't know if you paused. Okay, there we go.
There we
Woo!
go. There we go.
This sucks, man. I hate how it keeps cutting out. But generally, uh, yeah, I just want to focus on the mundane stuff
Yep.
and give that stuff a spotlight through all
Okay.
these weird little strange projects that I'm doing.
Yeah. No, I do. I appreciate what you're doing 100%. And it takes guts to do what you do. It takes guts to go on the internet and actually stir the pot, you know, through your followers. Who's following me? Who, you know, and so what you're speaking to, and from what fell on my heart that you were talking about, was you're talking about, you know, leveraging the things in life that otherwise people overlook, right? And that internet community, sometimes it's easy for us to take for granted, right? If you have hundreds of people following you, I mean, at any given point, you have influence over hundreds of people, if not thousands, you know, who could see or hear your content and what you post. And, you know, I feel like oftentimes we take those communities and the relationships we've built over time for granted. So I applaud you on what you're doing with something like this, you know, creating a platform where you can just have normal conversations with people and you can just connect with people and just say, what's up, you know, simple stuff. It really. And that's how over time, you know, you start developing meaning and value. You start deriving value from the people who you've been around, you know, and the experiences you have, and you can come back and you can, you know, call back out to somebody, and y'all can, you know, go down memory lane and talk about, oh, I don't know, how many cup noodles you had in college, or hey, I remember that project you did, and that project, you know, that design really inspired me, or you know, you talk about professors or what have you, right? You just go down
Yeah,
memory lane,
yeah.
and
It's the
so
basic human connections. Like it's like it's real shit, you know, because you
yes,
go on any social media platform, and it just becomes like a weird echo chamber where people just
yes,
go to get like affirmed, you know, and it's like
mm-hmm.
that's all the follow and following or following and follower relationship is. It's like,
Yes.
oh, okay, cool. I got another one, like more likes, you know, and it's
Mhm.
like that's a whole fucking human, you know, that's
Yes.
on their phone who like
Yeah.
really I don't know, either cares about what you have to say, or I mean, and even what they have to say is important too. And I think there needs to be a more human aspect to it, and not like this, it's like a weird fabrication of what stuff should
Mhm.
be. And I don't know, I think that could be really valuable, especially for like design. You know, I've always kind of like shat on design. Like it means well, but it's like it's kind of detached. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Okay. Yeah. 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 That's fair. That's valid.
Yeah, it's like it cares about the user so far as the user uses shit, you know?
Yeah.
If the
Yeah.
user's using, it's like hell yeah. It's like yeah, that's a good motherfucker, you know? But if the
Mhm.
user's not using shit, it's like how can we steal their focus? And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, that's it's kind of weird. It can be like that, you know?
Yeah. I think I think it's easy for, as designers or as creatives to, and I don't know if this hits on your point or not that you made, but basically it's
We're
easy for us to,
freestyling.
we're freestyling. So let's go. It's easy for designers to like just create stuff and then I guess omit how it impacts people and maybe how it impacts others who might not even use the tool, right? So, you know, that's just always something to consider. But yeah, you brought up an interesting point there. So yeah, man, that's a good point.
The big ass question though is like, how do you avoid that? You know, because that is the thing at the end of the day. You know, it's like we gotta have people buying shit. Like, and my
Yes,
shit needs to be important. So how do you
yes.
how do you avoid that?
I don't know, man. I think it's just the whole thing about design is it's like functionality and use, and then another part is like marketing and hype, and then another part is just like I don't know. It's just there's a lot that goes into making a successful product from what I've seen
Yeah,
in
yeah.
my young career so far. But um, if it has value, it has value. So it
Yeah.
depends on I
Ooh,
guess whoever sees it
and
as
that's the
valuable.
thing. It's that. It's like the value that the individual like puts on whatever it is the product is. I feel like I don't know. If you can make a thing that someone resonates with on like a level where they like they feel like a little bit of their meaning is like tied to that thing in like a what's the word that I'm looking for?
Identity.
Yeah, maybe their identity, you know, is like tied to that object, but not in a superficial sense, you know.
Yeah.
I'm talking like heirloom type shit. You know, if
Okay.
you can make something that this person would want to give to their children and then to their kid's kid and their kid's kid's kid, and like, you
Yes.
know, that is like
Yes.
the real shit. Like
Okay.
that's a good ass product.
Yeah, for sure.
Or
Um,
okay, I'll let you go. I'll let you go.
no, 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 you go, you go, you go.
Okay. Or something that helps develop like culture,
Yeah.
like those.
What is
It
culture?
aids. So that's a fat question, but I would like to. I actually don't know. I don't know if I can answer that, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try, and it's gonna be all over the place.
There is no culture.
Culture is it's it's a means of sharing identity, or a practice across like a group of people, you know, and I think it needs to be something that comes from inside, you know. It's like a it, it's beyond material, you know? And
Let me answer. There's no culture. From what I've seen, we live in a world now where everything goes. There is no fashion. It's just you put it on, boom.
Yo, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the
It's
truth.
you. Culture is you.
Yo, okay. I
I
like that.
mean, cause like, like right now, I'll stand up. What am I wearing? I'm wearing a button-down shirt. Okay. I'm wearing Ralph Lauren. Okay.
Okay,
Shorts.
okay. Hey, the crowd.
Yeah, that's how we do it. That's how we're doing it. It's summertime. It's my summertime business casual,
Yo, for real.
party from the waist down.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I mean, like you're on a good point.
but
Like, elaborate on that. Like, you said there is no culture.
So therefore, if there is no culture, is there such thing as bad design? If there is no, and now don't get it twisted for those who are watching, no culture doesn't mean no standard. So you can have good, there's still a thing, how could I say this? There could still be bad design, but at the same time, is it bad design? And this was something that I always wrestled with in design school, right? And then we get into the hype marketing where Supreme, oh, it's $100 shirt, but they just have the word design, Is it business or is it design? Or is it smart? Are they smart? Are they the really smart ones? How easy was that to manufacture and produce? Do we live in an age now, basically what I'm trying to say, my thesis is like this, it's simple. Do we live in a day and age now where it's like, it's so variable, I guess. The palette is now so diverse.
Okay. Two questions. When do you think that started? When did culture die? And then the second question is, actually, we'll stay there. That way we can get.
There is no culture. Culture died. Culture died. The internet. Oh. More specifically, the culture died in social media. Social media was the death of modern culture.
Okay.
I'll let that resonate. Here's why. If I'm stranded on an island, and I'm completely cut off from intrapersonal relationships, I can still record on my phone the latest dance move and go viral. 100 years ago, if I wanted to go viral off of a musical act, I had to be in the club surrounded by other people. Right?
No, yeah.
So on top of that, right, with the rise of social media, I don't even have to speak the same language. And I can still ride trends. I can still ride fashion. I can still believe in things that I'd otherwise have no contact with. And I'm thousands of miles away. What I'm basically saying, and I'm talking about the cultural diffusion of ideas and thoughts.
Yeah.
We're all one culture, the human race. Now the question is, have we always been one culture, or has it just now been unearthed by social media? That's the $1 million answer.
Yeah, and you can see so many, and that's basically the stuff of globalization, And this is kind of like, this is gonna get into a little tangent from like culture in association with like design, industrial design, and the responsibilities, blah blah blah. But it is really interesting. Maybe we might loop back into that. But it's a thing of globalization, and you can see like the world like freaking out over the merge of culture, and how like nationalists are trying to like hold on to like the little fragments of their culture that still haven't been diluted yet.
Tradition.
Yeah, tradition. And you can, a thing that I've recently become really interested in is, with all of that being said, like American culture. American culture is American and like European, like Great Britain. I'm not really familiar with them, but these two
Right.
places have always been like, or not have always been, but more recently been like the place where cultures go to, like, start anew, blah
Yes.
blah blah. There's
Okay.
opportunity, and it's just
Yes.
like a melting pot. Except
Yes.
up until I'd say even still, the different things that are melting in the pot haven't melted yet, and they're
True.
just in the pot,
True.
But America is an interesting thing to me in that regard because,
Experiment.
yeah, yeah, it's like we're seeing what that looks like in real time. And a lot of people
Yes.
say America has no culture, but I think that's that's not completely true. I think that the culture is just completely fragmented amongst like people's, like, what they
Hmm.
previously identified with, and they hold on to that, and that's valid, but like, let America have a culture and be in charge of what that looks like. Don't let, like, everyone says that, but like, don't let I don't know, let it be what you want that culture to be, which is why I was really interested in what you said. Like, um, it's you who makes the culture, the individual, and it's funny how people really take that for granted. Like, no one thinks to be the producer of culture. They just want to hop into it, and then even whenever it is made, it's created online. It's created with like the idea that something can be gained from it that is outside of just like uh having a good time or like feeling like you matter. It's like, how can I use this aspect of creating culture to make some money? And then that's when you get fucked. And that's when, like, the culture, that's when it becomes non-culture. It just becomes empty. It's an empty thing that's created so you can profit from that and then jump to the next thing. And then I think as soon as that stops happening, then culture can actually be real, and it can mean
Yes.
something. If there's meaning tied to the random thing that's created, it can stick, and then that's where community is born. You know, like, you mentioned Supreme as an example. They started somewhere. It wasn't always like a little piece of nothing. It was like a community, and then that community's image was so popular that they were like, oh, wait, we can make money off this shit. Like, people really want to be a part of this community, and then they
That's
made
right.
people pay for it. They were selling everything, and it's so hilarious, But it's like, we need to calm down off of the high of that, and we need to step back and be like, all right, wait. Is this like, are we just scamming people? Like, you don't want to scam people. Like, you can
Yeah.
make your money, but that money's not going to make you any happier if it didn't make anyone else happy. In like a longevity standpoint.
That's right. Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head. It's just let people create that culture that they want. Or culture is more on an individual scale. And I think the issues that we're running into as a society and as a nation is, everyone has a microphone, everyone has a voice. That's not the issue. The issue is, everyone's cultures are colliding, and now whose culture is right, whose culture is more just, whose culture is more fair. I think that's the birth of a lot of political problems. um, Culture boiled down to, I think you might have mentioned it, it's the way of life, or it's, kind of how people organize themselves in community. And so the interesting thing in this whole American experiment that we're living in real time is our political system are simply the merge of thought and culture, and people trying to synthesize beliefs into law. So that's
Oh
always
yeah,
interesting.
and America fucks with that. Like, politics is like so fucked. You
Yeah.
remember that there, and like, I don't even, there's nothing even more to be said with the that one image that was like, released with those like Democratic, I forgot what they were, members of Senate, I don't know, but they were wearing like
Okay.
these like dashiki things and they were kneeling. And it was like, what the fuck are you doing? It's like,
Oh, I saw that. Yeah,
stop.
yeah, yeah.
It's like the funniest image, like
Yeah.
that. It's like they were trying to make a meme, you know. And it's like, you know, you don't give a fuck about that. Like you just want more power. So what do they call it? I'm not
You
big
think
with
cultural
politics.
appropriation is real?
No, no, well, it is a little bit of that, but it's a virtue signaling. It's virtue signaling so they
Yes.
can gain approval of people that they
Oh
don't really
yeah,
give
yeah,
a
yeah,
fuck
yeah.
about, you know, or at least the people that are that far out don't give a fuck about, because
Yeah.
that's how they make
Right.
money, you know. They appeal to
Yeah.
people
Yes. So I saw.
who have the money and the power,
Yes.
whatever
That's how you
that,
stay in
or the
power.
influence. Yeah. But
Yes.
I
Yes.
guess
Yes. Yes.
the question after that is
Hmm.
what happens next? You know, is it always going to be like this? Are we fucked?
I think it. I think my prediction is, you know, so if we talk about it like on a social level, I do think there's going to be. It's going to take a huge fallout. Um, hopefully that's not civil war, but who knows what that will be. My prediction is it'll be between the rich and the poor. It's not going to be between ideologies. It's going to be between those who have and have not. And I think ultimately the fidelity of America is going to be how can we keep financial, services? How can we keep, the market? How can we keep education stable for people to still live? Because currently, right now, globalization on a macro scale is shrinking. It's shrinking the, you could almost say, the equity or the fairness of the little guy working his way up. Whether that's, starting small in your career and then scaling your business, or, simply being able to afford things like education, a place to live. And I think culture is heading towards a place where, and it's already here, but everything, like you were kind of hitting on, everything is dollar driven. How many dollars can I get out of this trend? How many likes can I get out of this post? Or how much engagement can I get? How much traffic can I generate? And I think we're currently right now, in addition to the melting pot, which is good on a cultural level, because diffusion of ideas, thoughts, I can now relate to someone who I otherwise 50 years ago probably wouldn't have been able to have contact with, right? That's good. But, now the next challenge is how can we align financially? How can we align on an educational level that doesn't still play into greater socioeconomic, I guess, issues that we're starting to see, like inflation, or the lower ROI on higher education and housing markets and so forth. So yeah, it's like I started the conversation with, everything is a design problem, and it's just a matter of figuring out ways to create systems that are more equitable for people. Ultimately.
Yeah. And
So
to kind of loop that back, like that's where I feel like whenever especially designers, but whenever you have like anyone in school who feels
mhm.
like they are just like a drop in a bucket, that's like a fucking L. For every kid in university who feels like oh like who am I? I'm just a motherfucker going to school, and like we're all like that's how you get a group of people that are all just fucked, like you know.
Yeah.
And I feel like the schools don't really give a fuck about whether that's the thought or not. And then whenever there are situations in which like you have these figures, these educators that instill that I don't know, you can do like literally anything, you know? Like then you just get like, you know, people really start to see their values as like individuals, you know? And like I am like I believe with like my soul, you know, that like I don't know, even fucking someone who's given up completely, and I don't know, it is like as creative as like
Yes.
I don't know, the most creative person ever, you know? Like you
Yes.
have the tools to be a creative person. It's just like
Yes.
allowing that to be awoken. And no one like
Yes.
cares much about that cuz you don't need that to happen. Cuz like
No.
really all you need is to put your head down and do the fucking work, and then you can get your
Yes.
money, and then you can at
Yes.
best be like content.
Taken
But
care of at
usually that,
least.
you say what?
No, you like you. That's a good point you're making.
Yeah. I mean, and that kind of crosses the bare minimum, but that doesn't even make anyone happy, you know, and that creates more issues. Like an unhappy person is like, uh, I don't know, that's like the most dangerous thing for like
Society.
for
Um,
yeah, because a
it's
lot
really
of people
dangerous
don't
for
have
society.
empathy.
Yes. Yes. And on that point, real fast, I was gonna add, and for my closing thought with that was, um, what was I gonna say? Oh well. No, yeah, okay.
There you go.
Yeah, I forgot.
Oh
Forget.
man, it'll come back. It'll come back. Don't even worry
It'll come
about
back.
it.
It'll come back. It'll come back. It'll come back. Ah.
Oh, let me give it a
Anyways,
couple seconds. Oh, okay.
I totally
Let me
lost my
see.
train of thought.
I forgot where I was. I'm gonna backtrack a little bit, so maybe that might.
Oh,
There we
yeah. So, okay. I got you. So, yes, sir. All right. So, in conclusion, my thought is just simply, you know, we're gonna head towards, one way of thinking. Everything in power becomes more consolidated. Who can stop that? The people can stop that. So the only way, they always say the most powerful man is the most educated man. So education is key. So definitely giving people a hand up, whether it's through internships or through training or through making things more equitable. That's the only way we can stop it. Because if not, we're headed towards one world currency. Okay. We're headed towards at least a few payment systems. I'm a believer in DeFi and crypto myself. But still, as
go.
far as making things, yes, sir. Oh, what was that?
No, might be someone beeping, but I said A. I was like, yeah,
Oh,
crypto,
yes,
crypto
sir, yes,
stuff.
sir. That's where things are going for sure. So that's and then part of it's just you do have to adapt with life, with technology, um, and yeah, that's about that for me. That's all I have to say.
Emotional intelligence, like, is the cherry on top for all of that too. You know, because like
Yes.
real empathy is, and that's like I don't even know how to define that, but like being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes for no
Oh,
other. Oh, yeah, hit it.
I know what I was gonna say. You mentioned something, and I'm sorry for cutting you off real fast, but
No, go
you
ahead.
mentioned something real fast about how people have the power to make their life. So, and I totally agree with you. And I always think that, and I've always said this: everyone in life has at least one opportunity, one chance to be their best, to that one break. Everyone is given one break in life. Everyone's blessed with one break and opportunity in life. It's what you make of it. I could be, and God forbid, and people, it's always good to help people, but I could be homeless. But what if that homeless person woke up one day and was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna start square one. What's square one? If a homeless person who always slept outside of the art school institute in New York City, or wherever the best one is in the world, Prague, Belgium, I don't know, and was like, hey, I'm gonna get in there one day. He could do it. He could do it. The power of, basically my thesis is, the power of your mind is not a joke. You can do anything you want to do. And it doesn't matter. You're never too far gone. So that's my encouragement to whoever's watching. You're never too far gone. You can do anything you want to do. So
Yeah,
you can start
with
from
the
zero, ground zero, and you can be the king of the world or the queen of the world. That's my thesis. That's my hypothesis. It's so possible. As long as you
with,
have breath in your lungs, you can do anything. So
with that being said, though, I feel like that homeless man, could be with all of that success, could be in the same place emotionally. Even if he becomes like Bill Gates, he could still
Yes.
feel like that, and that's the thing that needs to be like resolved. How? I have no fucking clue. But like to feel emotionally rich is always above like financial rich, because everyone ties them together. They're not the fucking same, like at all. Like, but I mean, uh, making those incremental shifts towards, I don't know. Well, I guess I couldn't even say, because you would assume like making shifts towards your ideal self is how you become happy. But who's to say that your idea of happiness is actual happiness? When you actually get there. But I don't know. I think making a shift towards somewhere is, I guess, a way of understanding what your happiness is. Like you get there and then figure that out. I don't know. That shit's
For sure.
weird.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
Big
but
world, lots of opportunities. So
there's some optimism, at least right now, where I stand. I feel like there's hope for culture to be born again, and all of that stuff. And it's good that, I mean, basically what you want to do is to provide to that a little bit.
oh yeah. Addison, Houston, I'm gonna be a maker of the world. You're gonna see me. Faith Fund Futures is a creative firm. If you need 3D printing, web printing, video editing, graphic design, we got you. Addison, Houston, follow me at addi.houston. I would love to help you out. Faith Fund Future, serving others with positivity and creativity. Let's go. And I'm learning from the best. I have the best interviewer sitting across from me virtually.
I'm not interviewing you. We're just talking. We're chilling.
Emotepblock.com/shop. Check him out, ladies and gentlemen. He's the truth.
Oh, thank you.
I'm trying to be like you, man.
I'm trying to be like you. You're like a fucking businessman. You're all the way, man.
Please. You're more successful. You're already successful.
All you need is some time. That's the only thing.
All we need is some time. That's all anyone ever needs. All we need is some time, baby.
So. Yeah. Good note to end on.
So what you getting into? What you getting into tomorrow? What you getting into in the near future? What's going on?
What am I even doing tomorrow?
Tomorrow Wednesday at work.
I am working on a little thing with my friend. He's a photographer, okay. And we're trying to make like a book for his photographs. Oh. He's amazing. I don't want to say names or anything because
no.
I don't want to
Yeah, no, it's in the wrap. It's in the works.
But he's really cool, and I'm also doing some like graphic design stuff that I just kind of like fell into, which is cool because that's something that I've been wanting to get better at. And tomorrow I'm going to be talking to the next person. I'm going to be working on a coffee table that me and my boss are designing. But yeah, that's it. And on the weekend, what am I doing this weekend? I'm going to be running around a lot on Sunday. My boss is coming in, and we're gonna get some grub, hanging out with some friends. Some things nice. Going on Friday. What about you? What's the near future looking like?
Riding dirty, changing the world.
Hey, every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day looks the same for me. I wake up, I sniff greatness.
Yeah, that's the right attitude, the incremental changes.
Incremental change. Every day, I try to do one thing that gets me closer to my goal. And one day we're going to get there. And when I'm going to fly out to New York, we're going to have a great lunch. I've never been. You're going to be out there.
Dude, yeah. Come through anytime. We can chill. And like, place
Less.
to stay, mi casa, su casa, you know? I don't want any of my buddies staying at some fucking hotel or an Airbnb, even though it might be better than my couch, you know? My couch is free. And I make breakfast once for for whatever stay, you know?
That's awesome, man. One day we got to do it, man, for sure. Thanks for having me on, man. I really do appreciate the opportunity. Y'all stay tuned for what's coming out next.
Amen. This thing might cut off any second now, so we'll just end here. Good
All right,
seeing
man.
you, man.